Well, this is a huge moment for the royal family. Prince Andrew is stepping back from royal duties as the fallout from his BBC Newsnight interview continues. A few hours back, he released this statement, which you can find online in full. In it, he says, "The circumstances relating to my former association with Jeffrey Epstein has become a major disruption to my family's work." He goes on, "I continue to unequivocally regret my ill-judged association with Jeffrey Epstein." Well, let's hear the reaction of the royal commentator, Dickie Arbiter.
His position was untenable when it came to the sort of after the interview. He went into that interview believing it was crisis management, but created a crisis instead of management. And there was no other direction he could go. Sponsors were falling by the wayside. Admittedly, KPMG sponsorship had finished in October and they weren't renewing. But other sponsors have said that they're not renewing at the end of the year when their contracts are terminated. And the organisations can't cope and can't function without sponsors. So everything was falling about him like dominoes, that he was really left with no alternative but to step back from public duty. It's very difficult for Prince Andrew. I think you've got to put the royal family to one side. Yes, they're feeling desperately sorry for him that one of their own has been confronted with all this and had to step aside in terms of public duties. But it's Andrew who's got to come to terms with it, because he's not out of the woods yet. The FBI investigators want to talk to him, the litigators' lawyers want to talk to him, and they want to talk to him under oath. So he's still got that to face. Now, does he do it in the States or does he do it in the United Kingdom? That is still to be decided. But he's really got to come forward and say exactly what happened. We had a lot of flanneling in that interview with Emily Maitlis on Saturday night. I mean, the photograph you've just shown, he said, well, that was in an upstairs room, but I've never been in that upstairs room. Well, if he's never been in that upstairs room, how did he know it was there? And there were all sorts of things that he sort of fell by the wayside. He was contradicting himself. He's got to take stock of what he wants to do, how he wants to handle it, and is he going to answer questions put to him from the other side of the Atlantic. And it's not going to go away until such time he does answer those questions, and then maybe I say, the clouds will clear away. But these are allegations at the moment. Until such time they're proven to be fact, we have to accept that they're allegations.
Prince also says in his statement, "I deeply sympathise with everyone who's been affected and who wants some form of closure with relation to the Epstein scandal." Well, during the BBC interview, Prince Andrew passed up numerous opportunities to express sympathy and support for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Let's bring in the most serious allegation against the Prince is made by the American woman Virginia Guffrey. She says she was forced to have sex with him when she was age 17. In the BBC interview, Prince Andrew said he had no recollection of ever having met her. That's despite a photo of them in 2001. Prince Andrew says he has no memory of the photo being taken. He also raised doubts about whether it had been doctored. Well, since the interview was broadcast on Saturday, some companies have been distancing themselves from the Prince and some of his organisations. Let's bring in Daniela Ralph, who's outside Buckingham Palace. Daniela, you've covered the royal family for a number of years. I wonder what your reaction was when you saw this statement come through.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen anything like this, that's for sure. It really is hard, just, can't stress enough just how different and unusual this statement is. We haven't really seen anything of its kind from within the modern royal family. A senior figure in that family having to step back from public life because really of a scandal that has surrounded them and that they haven't been able to shake off. So it is something very different from what we're used to see happening here at Buckingham Palace. But what was interesting, I think, about the statement this evening was its tone was so different to the tone that Prince Andrew took during the interview at the weekend. He seemed to address all the criticisms that had come his way after that interview. So he did, in his statement, offer sympathy to the victims of Jeffrey Epstein. He did recognise that his relationship with him was now impacting on the day-to-day work of the British royal family. And he also said he would, if requested, contribute to any legal investigation in the United States. So all of those issues very different to the tone and the content of what he had to say at the weekend.